What is Linux? Linux is an operating system. In that sense, it's not unlike Microsoft Windows or Mac OS X. Linux, however, is open source. Open source does not always mean that it's free from paid licensing. If you want to use Red Hat Enterprise Linux or SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, for example, you'll have to pay. Ubuntu, however, whether you're using the desktop or server, is totally free. An operating system is simply a platform upon which you may do your work, or upon which your server may do its work. Users interact with applications, applications interact with the operating system, and the operating system lets both of them interact with the hardware. The operating system itself lets you and your applications effectively use the hardware to do what you want done. If designed well, an operating system hides many of the complexities of dealing with hardware, presenting a clean, intuitive interface for you to use. Ubuntu is a well-designed operating system. It's intuitive, complete, and easy to learn. Linux is actually a suite of programs fundamentally built on GNU Linux. GNU is the operating system with Linux as its kernel, the core or engine of the operating system. Both are designed to emulate the proprietary Unix operating system designed by AT&T Bell Labs in the 1970s. Richard Stallman started the GNU project in 1983. He wanted to design a free operating system based on Unix. The project had a kernel called GNU Hurd, but it never gained enough popularity to become fully developed. Part of the project, however, was also an open source license called the GNU General Public License, or GPL. This is an important development for Linux as it paved the way for the pioneers who made operating systems that are open to all of us. Linus Torvalds released an open source kernel under the GPL, which is now known as the Linux kernel. The open source GNU operating system now had an open source kernel to run on. The open source kernel and the open source operating system were joined together to give us a complete operating system. We'll talk more in a later lesson about the Ubuntu distribution or distro.